Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 2021 State of the County. I'd like to welcome those watching on Facebook as well as WCSS and listening on WCSS. This year, we're trying out a little bit of a different State of the County, a little bit more virtual and interactive. We will be taking some questions towards the end of the speech, but really just wanted to welcome everyone today. We have a lot to talk about, and look forward to doing so. So, as I prepared this State of the County, I really, I think back to the previous State of the County, which was, just pre-pandemic, and we knew that we had quite a road ahead of us, but I don't think any of us knew exactly, what that would mean. And really, I think today, the last year is a story of perseverance. I think it's a story of people growing together, growing stronger together, as well as as we move into now a phase of trying to heal, both individually and as a community. Before I go any further, I'd like to also thank Chairman Isabel for his friendship, for his partnership over the past year as chairman of the legislature. Joe was a fantastic chairman, and I really enjoyed working with him in that capacity. And also welcome in Chairman Michael Pepp. And really look forward to working with Mike, who is not only someone who I look up to professionally, but also has become a really dear friend personally. And in his tenure as the chair of the Finance Committee and implementing the monthly dashboard review of our county finances, I can say confidently that really the board, the legislature, as well as the executive office and our department heads have really never had a better handle on what exactly is going on in our finances from a day-to-day basis. And that includes a lot of the things like, understanding the state and federal reimbursements and cash flow, and really having a finger on the pulse to identify issues when they are small issues before coming big issues. So if Mike's work on the Finance Committee is any indication of his efforts as chairman, I think we're all going to be very impressed. I'd also like to thank all of our staff and our department heads for all they've done in this last year. It's been a difficult at times, but also, just to see everybody come together, whether that's the folks that are making sure the sidewalks are nice and clear for some of the folks that are coming in for our vaccine clinics, or the folks in personnel that are dealing with a tremendous amount of issues related to COVID, or our public health nurses and leadership over there. It's been quite a year, and everybody's really pulled together. The county team has become a real family where people look after each other, and that's something that we all should be proud of. Also this year, I'd like to thank and welcome our new district attorney, Lorraine Diamond, who has certainly hit the ground running in just her first few weeks in office. She has brought a tremendous energy and enthusiasm and passion for the work in the district attorney's office, and I think her hard work and the work of the staff in the district attorney's office is really going to make Montgomery County an even safer place to live, work, and raise a family. So without further ado, I'd like to move into some of my prepared remarks. And again, really highlighting, the way we've persevered and grown stronger throughout this past year. So I'll begin with talking about a close family and something that is very personal and important. Dave Schwartz Sr. was a retired lieutenant and 30-year veteran of the Amsterdam Fire Department. Dave spent his 69th birthday in the St. Mary's Hospital ICU battling COVID-19, isolated from his wife of 50 years, Pam, and family. Keeping busy in his retirement and active in our community, Dave owned and operated a popular hot dog stand, Dave's Dogs. His son, Dave Jr., had been my friend since we were kids. I've learned that Dave Sr. had become infected with COVID-19 from my public health director, Sarah, an Amsterdam native who knew the Swart family. When Sarah called, I was in shock. As far as we knew, Dave Sr. contracted the virus out in the community. This was early, really early, before wearing masks, social distancing, and frequent hand washing were widely practiced. We've grown to accept this, but it was really truly before all of that really sunk in. When Dave Sr. was hospitalized, we only had 12 confirmed cases and no deaths. His wife Pam helped to warn people by making Dave Sr.'s test results and hospitalization public. With visitation restrictions, the family was forced to gather outside the hospital below his ICU room window. The fire department used the ladder truck to post a cross with written messages of encouragement from active and retired department members on the window. The community posted messages on the Dave's Dog food truck that he otherwise had been preparing for the spring season. Updates on his health appeared in our newspapers. There was even an article that read, "Amsterdam man with COVID-19 takes a turn for the worse." The subheadline was, "We need a miracle. People gathered at St. Mary's to pray for Dave Swart." On April 3rd, 2020, Dave Sr. passed away. Restrictions had prevented the family from holding a funeral, at least one in the fashion that he deserved. Shortly after Dave Sr.'s passing, however, he was brought home by his brothers of the Amsterdam Fire Department. The department honored him with a procession through town, which included a last alarm outside the department passing by St. Mary's Hospital to honor everyone inside that helped in his battle, and concluded at Dave's home, where his remains were presented to his wife and family. The procession was kept private to mitigate the spread of the virus, but many attended, staying in their vehicles, waiting for the procession to pass by the Church Street location of Dave's Dogs. I was there. People were lined in that parking lot to watch. I was with Sarah. Both of us were crying. Following her husband's passing, Pam and her children, Becky, Jen, and Dave Jr., became part of the Montgomery County family, and now will forever be. Pam took to social media and referred to our public health director, Sarah, and the nurses as Sarah's soldiers. We had shirts made with those words on it for the staff. In the beginning, our nurses would call homes to talk about dealing with the virus, and people would actually hang up on them, or think it was a prank, or start screaming at them because they didn't believe the whole thing was real. The nurses experienced not only frustration, but anger, and at times verbal abuse. It was a constant back and forth, from talking to a family member with a sick loved one to having somebody say, go scratch and stop bothering me. The shirts reminded them that they were doing meaningful work. A great reward of being a small county executive is you are in the trenches every day. I don't have a large staff. We do function efficiently as a team, but I wind up being involved in much of what we do, very intimately. I've done the weekly COVID briefings along with Sarah and Jeff. We've concentrated on dispensing information, and I've tried to persuade the community, even in the spring of 2020, when our infection rate was low, that we were not going to skate by the virus. There were rare moments of laughter. At one briefing, the sheriff and I were joking that we'd put on a few pounds and commented that the gyms were opening. Not that either of us knew where they were. But meanwhile, our emergency management director, Rick Sager, was busy on the phone trying to acquire personal protective equipment. He ended up getting a call from a woman named Rita Rochelle, who lived in Montgomery, Alabama. Sager said he was listening to the voicemail from Rochelle and his wife, and his wife started crying. Her 16-year-old son, William, had been following the news about what was going on in New York State and wanted to do something to help. They were a family of faith. Rochelle and her son have a heart of gold. And the message from William said, "I wish I had more gloves to send, but this one box is all my mom and I could find." She had originally purchased the gloves for us, but when I saw a nurse on TV, he wanted to do something for help. He wasn't sure he would want one box, we would want one box, but his mom called and the number that they found online. He said, "We selected your county because of the similarities with the name Montgomery. I just wish we could do more," he said. They then sent us the gloves, and when I heard the story, I tried to inspire county residents by sharing and reminding everyone that we are stronger together. And I guess this goes to show that it doesn't matter which Montgomery County you live in, we're all able to unite and assist each other in a time of need. It was great to get some positive news out there and really fit in with our Stronger Together campaign. And the story had a wonderful postscript. One evening, months later, I was at home watching the news. It was actually BBC News of all things. And I saw an elected official from Montgomery, Alabama, talking about the situation there. The roles were reversed. They were in need of supplies, and we were fully stocked. I contacted Sarah and Rick and told them it was our turn to help. We packed up a shipment, and I reached out to William's family and let them know we would be sending supplies. They were assisting their community through their church and were very appreciative. It all had come about because of one person's kindness. I still get a little emotional looking back on that family and our connection to people 1,000 miles away. We also began considering the financial impact of the pandemic as we entered the lockdown. We understood how much of the state budget was relying on New York City, and the city was inundated with cases and businesses and shutdowns. Montgomery County had been through its ups and downs, once a bustling industrial center until we suffered through a manufacturing decline, and since then we've been working to pick ourselves back up. We are a resilient, gritty, blue-collar community, so I was confident we would weather the challenges created by the pandemic. And so far, the county has been able to keep our finances stable and, in fact, grow stronger. At one point, we were preparing for 20% cuts to sales tax, our largest revenue source, as well as state aid, which would have a tremendous impact and likely would have led to layoffs. But thankfully, the impact on our local economy has not been as bad as some of the bigger communities. Our distribution centers, manufacturers, and big box stores are doing well. We are actually seeing some growth. The mom and pop operations are taking it on the chin, and we are doing what we can to help. By and large, people are coping. They take walks, they use chalk to write messages on their driveway. We've ramped up our testing, and for a while we had our infection rate under control. However, I wouldn't say my biggest fear was financial. The emotional cost of the pandemic, the breakdown of mental health, is still what concerns me the most. The impact of lockdowns on Montgomery County with its high poverty levels is profound. In the more rural areas, we are socially distanced by nature. On top of that isolation, there is insufficient access to services. In the good years, I've already dealt with these problems. For example, and I remember this specifically, on the western end of the county, there was a child who was struggling with thoughts of suicide, trying to get 40 miles down the road to access mental health services in Amsterdam. They say they don't have a car or a neighbor to drive them there. And then you add COVID on top of that, it makes a bad situation worse. At one point, we had more suicides than deaths from the virus. Our domestic violence cases have been on the rise. So have incidents requiring the sheriff's office to respond. Adding the challenges of students not being in school, where that may be the one decent meal they get all day, or the only situation where they can interact with a stable adult. We're seeing drug overdoses, alcoholism, violence, theft, and vandalism. I've lost my best friend to an overdose, and a while back, and we're doing our best to pull people and resources together. Yet, when you're dealing with a rural community that does not have significant public transportation, a lot of issues go unnoticed. And these are the days I'm really thankful for Sarah, our public health director, but which is not often known, as she's also our mental health director, and she takes that role very seriously, and her background gives her the ability to do that job very well. We're trying to combat all of this by joining New York State Association of Counties Take 5 for New York program. If your neighbor is having issues, take a few minutes out of your day and get in touch via phone or social media and let them know help is available. It's a mutual aid undertaking. Not every problem is going to be solved by government. During the lockdown and the phased reopening, we did everything we could to encourage people to use the strength that they had to assist those who were suffering in a weak moment. Not long ago, we staged an event, Project Hope, to raise awareness about overdoses and suicide. So far, we've had 8 suicides, which is higher than previous years. They all haunt me, but recently we had one I suspect will stay with me for the rest of my days. We lost a young person that I knew personally. She had actually given me a blanket that I had used in the hospital when my daughter had to have emergency surgery at just 4 weeks old. My daughter was at that point small enough to fit inside my hand, and we used this blanket to comfort her. And this sweet, generous person who battled issues ended up taking her own life. And so we continue to fight COVID-19. By the first week of January 2021, we had lost 61 of our residents, and we had 1,602 known infections, with more every day. That number is now up to 3,002. Our public health department and county team is making an all-out effort to keep up with the large volume of work. I'm confident, particularly now that vaccines are available, that we will beat COVID-19. But our grief will last long beyond the pandemic, and so will our pride in how we have confronted this horrific virus. I really truly believe we've persevered, we've grown stronger together, and now is the time to heal. So whether you're a family member that's lost a loved one, you have a loved one in a nursing home, you're a young person that has not been able to see their friends or attend school, now is the time to heal, and now is the time to try to return to normalcy. And the good news is that given the situation that we've dealt with for almost a year now, there are some really promising signs of hope. I've often been called an optimist, and I wear that as a badge of honor. And as I look to the future, I do see positivity, and I see healing, and I see our community coming together and growing stronger. We're going to continue to strengthen our finances and market the county and try to grow economically. And actually, when you look into the financial picture over the past year, like I said, we were preparing for 20% cuts, which would have potentially meant layoffs at the county, cuts in services. From where we've been to where we are now, we've really actually grown stronger. We've seen a 6.6% increase in sales tax this year, which results in over $4 million being over budget from what we had, which is not only good news for the county and its residents, but it's also good news for the municipalities, because 40% of that, in the ballpark of $1.5 million of additional funding, will be distributed to the city of Amsterdam and the towns in Montgomery County. That increase, along with the efforts of our sheriff and along with the efforts of our team to try to conserve and save money throughout the year, while having a soft hiring freeze, doing furloughs when we really did not know what was ahead of us. I expect for the second year in a row that we'll be able to build our fund balance and really be able to strengthen the county's finances as we move forward. So what was at once thought of devastation is now turned into optimism. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about economic development, and I can't thank our team at the Business Development Center enough. And I always like to say, and that the strategy is consistent from day one. Montgomery County is an affordable, accessible, family-friendly community with a tremendous amount of both historical and recreational opportunities for both businesses and residents. Last year obviously was challenging, but again, in a year where the economy collapsed and many counties were struggling, our county experienced a tremendous amount of growth. In 2020, the county assisted companies that employed over 2,900 individuals with a combined annual payroll in excess of $61 million and generated over $5.2 million in property taxes and pilot payments. Additionally, these projects accounted for over $632 million in capital investment. These are just the businesses that have a relationship with our Montgomery County Business Development Center, as well as our County Industrial Development Agency. I'd like to thank Ken Rose and his staff for all their hard work and their continued work as we move forward. The county also experienced, first off, in the 5S corridor, which many will notice the Dollar General Distribution Center. That corridor has continued to take off. You'll see the Microtel Inn and Suites created 10 new jobs. You had the Amazon Last Mile facility, which created 100 new jobs. But in addition, those trucks that are bringing your purchases to the house are filling up in gas, which helps the local economy. But also, those in the community can get access to their packages in a quicker fashion. Also, the Vita Blend expansion project, which is right across the street from the Dollar General Distribution Center, has been adding more jobs as well. And that's not the only place that's been growing. I've never seen so many people excited for the Five Guys up in the Route 30 corridor, but they indeed are. And the nice part is there's more good news to come. The town of Amsterdam is continuing to grow with the addition of Five Guys, Jersey Mike's, the Rao Outpatient Pavilion and Pharmacy Expansion Project, which is currently being finished, the Albany Med and Nathan Latower Urgent Care Primary Care Specialty Services Clinic, which is currently being finished, as well as a housing development project that was approved for condominium buildings and duplexes, which will include 52 two-family and 112 multiple family units. In the coming year, we are also confident and excited about some new businesses that will be announcing their opening in that corridor, in addition to what we've already announced. And the important thing is these growing retail and housing projects are a sign of a strong and prospering economy in Montgomery County. And we've seen this expansion in these areas throughout the past 10 years. However, as excited as we are about the continued investment from outside companies coming in, we're really proud of the local small businesses that are really the heartbeat of our community. Last year, we focused on existing businesses by creating programs to help them through the pandemic. The Small Business of the Month campaign, which has been a lot of fun. We just enjoyed a meal at CP's in Hegeman, got to spend time with the owners, happened to be his birthday, and they said that the recognition did help drive some additional customers their way. So in addition to the much deserved recognition, it certainly helped a little bit with their bottom line. We also conducted a Buy It in Montgomery campaign to recognize and help promote all the businesses as we could through Montgomery County. We did a mask program where the Montgomery County Capital Resource Corporation bought 10,000 masks to give away to businesses for free. We also did the COVID loan program to help assist small businesses with their PPE needs. We also conducted a child care survey and study to help increase access to child care needs in the county. And when you really look at that specifically, we're talking about the 5S corridor. We've heard from local businesses as part of the business roundtable that I do, that night shift is really difficult for them to find folks to work because of the barriers related to child care. So we are going to continue to push that forward and try to meet that need in the community. And I think it can really be a neat partnership between Montgomery County, the county IDA, an outside partner, as well as our businesses in that corridor. Also, our Ag Micro 2 grant was executed that we received. And in this grant from the state, distributed $185,000 to 9 local agricultural businesses and farms throughout the county, helping them with the funds for farm equipment and an event venue for one local business. But looking forward, I'm really excited about a number of things. There's nothing higher on that list than the Exit 29, formerly known as the Beechnut site. We've just finished the asbestos abatement last year, and the bids for demolition on the western side buildings have been completed. We just recently reviewed those. It looks like we got about $3 million to go. We have about $1.5 million. So we're going to continue to build upon the success we've had bringing in funding for the Beechnut site, about approximately $7 million to date. And you look at this site and you look at the work that's been done. This is a project that's been going on since the first year I took office. And we were presented with the challenge that this site was likely going to go into foreclosure. And on one hand, you could let it go into foreclosure. Somebody could have bought it, maybe, and likely it would have been scrapped and worsened, even worse than the shape it was in at that point. Or we could step up, do the environmental review, and see if we could pull together some state and federal resources to redevelop, clean up, and develop the site. But the exciting point is, after 7 years of work, we are actively right now, the eastern side of this site, in negotiations on a development project that will most likely get done within the next month, bringing a lot of new excitement to the village of Canajoharie. To go from where we were to the point where that could be a place that can once again employ people and build up Canajoharie moving forward, there is nothing better or more rewarding about this job. In addition to the Exit 29 site, we also have another shovel-ready site in the 5S corridor for a 1 million square foot building, and have a great relationship with the developer, Win Stanley, who is a nationally known and recognized site selector. And we're very optimistic that there will be another project that will make an impact not only for the Montgomery County, but for the region in that 5S corridor. And another cool thing that has happened, after we cut our teeth on the BeachNut site, we took that skill set and all the people that were working on brownfield redevelopment, and we kept that team together. And we wrote an application and were awarded $300,000 to execute a remediation and redevelopment plan for a number of sites across the county. Those sites include the Five Corners Strip Mall building in Amsterdam. That's where, it's called Five Corners because that's where 67 runs through up towards Saratoga. And there's a real eyesore over there, and that was something we really wanted to focus on, and we're working with the city of Amsterdam on that. Also, the Medical Linen Systems building in St. Johnsville. The first phase of this grant will be used for hazardous substance assessment and cleanup. This is work that will continue for many, many years, is cleaning up our brownfields. And it also will provide development opportunities in the future once that good work is done, just as it has on the BeachNut site and the Exit 29 redevelopment site. And lastly, we're starting to see the beginning phases of the DRI implementation in the city of Amsterdam. As you know, the county and the city worked together to help the city of Amsterdam win a $10 million award for their downtown revitalization. I know that there's been a lot of good work going on in the city of Amsterdam to clean up their finances, and which will allow them to further the DRI implementation. And as in the last couple months, there's been some very exciting talks with the city about some of the potential for that grant to be implemented. So as far as how we go forward, we do not know what the state budget will look like this year, but we will continue to go after any grants that are made available. We will continue to help support and market our small businesses in any way we can. And that was one of our core values when we started out, was Montgomery County only has so much resources, and we need to really capitalize on those state and federal resources in order to see projects come to fruition. So, as I said earlier, our message to those that in Montgomery County and outside Montgomery County are that we are an affordable, accessible, family-friendly community with a tremendous amount of historical and recreational opportunities. And we've continued to try to strengthen those historical and recreational assets. And one of those, as we've talked about in the past, is laying almost $1 million worth of asphalt on the bike path from one end of the county to the other. We're building on that. And one exciting new project that I'd like to talk about today is the Burbine Forest. Not many folks even know that Montgomery County has its own forest. And what we're trying to do through initiatives like Tourist in Your Own Town is remind people of the great assets that we have. And previously up there were some trails, and the Montgomery County Soil and Water District did a great job of making some improvements up there. But we were approached by a young man who was really excited about the sport of disc golf, and really said that there wasn't that type of recreational opportunity anywhere between Utica and Albany. So we partnered with this young man, and actually it's not even open yet, but Montgomery County and the Burbine Forest now has the Burbine Forest disc golf course. And it's really exciting because we've had people coming from Syracuse, Utica, Albany, Saratoga already, because the word got out about this wonderful recreational opportunity, and we haven't even opened it yet. And so we're looking forward next year to doing a grand opening, as well as utilizing the pond, as well as with some fishing derbies for kids, and really creating this new recreational opportunity, not only to try to bring tourists into Montgomery County, which it has done already, but also provide people that are here with another opportunity. And again, it fits right in with who we are. It doesn't cost much to just go for a nice walk in the woods. We call it a walk with a purpose. And it's just something fun to do, and for families that may not, be the type of families that go on a vacation every year, it's things you can do locally to have some fun. Also, another very, very exciting opportunity, and exciting, in combined with what's happening at the BeachNut site, is there's some folks coming together to really, do what they can to promote Wintergreen Park, which I've always said was a tremendous asset that has not been utilized to its full potential. So we're excited about that in the coming year. as well as this project. So working with a team of stakeholders, the county was the recipient of $650,000 in grant funds from State Parks and Recreation, the Canal Corporation as well, to assist with the first phase of stabilization and restoration work to the 1841 Schoharie Crossing Aqueduct in Fort Hunter. As you can see, it is in disrepair. Originally consisting of 14 arches and over 620 feet in length, the aqueduct has lost 8 arches over the past 80 years due to demolition or collapse. The first phase of the work will implement measures recommended by a 2004 engineering report to provide for the immediate stabilization of the remaining 6 arches and allow for additional restoration work in the future if funding is made available. The project will result in the preservation of a culturally and historically significant landmark while providing new recreational interpretive opportunities for Montgomery County residents and users of the adjacent Empire State Trail. And just to show you how this came about, we were approached by some of the folks that I will read to you now, and the people that I would like to thank: the Preservation League of New York State, Office of Parks, State Parks, Canal Corporation, Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor, the Canal Society of New York State, the Friends of Schoharie Crossing, and local stakeholders. This project would not be possible without the enormous support from these organizations. And we were approached and said that the grant would carry additional weight with the state and the corresponding federal grant that is we're looking to get if Montgomery County was the lead applicant on the grant. So we stepped up and said, absolutely, this is a special project, and we're going to continue to work it through. So to get that $650,000 and hopefully more in the future, it'll really help us, with this asset. And when you look at it, my dream is actually, maybe, and it might be a big dream, but I like to dream, is potentially we could restore the aqueduct and have, continue that Empire State Trail right over it, potentially with a glass floor. That would really make it a special, very attractive place for people to visit. But there's a long way to go before we get there. That's just my personal idea. I think that would be fantastic. But just to have the money right now to be able to do the stabilization and begin that process is a big step forward. And lastly, just another project that I'm really particularly excited about. There's been a couple things in the works, but we've always said we need more breweries in Montgomery County, and Project Eisenadler, which I hope I got that right. You'll see here they just posted and have a page on social media that you should check out. This is going to be a brewery in Nelliston, and actually they were the recipient of a state grant. Also did engage with us, and we helped with some of the financing and through the county's loan program to help be able to assist and see this project come to light. So just to be able to see it, hats off to the team over there for all their great work, and it's really exciting to see. So lastly, I'd just like to say, excuse me, I've often been called an optimist. I get that a lot, but it's a badge I wear proudly. And as I said earlier, the issues will last long after this pandemic is done. But I am so proud in the way we've handled it, and for the reasons today, really proud and excited and optimistic about our future. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Now's the time where we'll see if we have any questions and take it from there. And if not, we'll wrap up. How are we looking, Morgan?
I don't think I see any answers.
Not too bad. Well, we certainly get enough questions in the briefing every week, so maybe I can get a little bit of a break today. So we good?
Yeah.
So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And, as always, if we can be assistance, please don't hesitate to reach out. But, I'll just leave you with this. Montgomery County has persevered. Montgomery County has grown stronger. And now the time is right for Montgomery County to come together and start that healing process and begin to move forward in a positive way. And knowing what I've known about this community over the past 7 years in this office and being here my entire life, I am very optimistic that our best days are ahead of us. So everybody be safe, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.